Hey, thanks for checking out the video. If you all like it, please like and subscribe, and hope you all enjoy it. Have a great rest of the day.
So these are what we're working on: pound cake, fried okra. You're welcome. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you. And then beef stew and rice, which is one of the Descendants family recipes.
Beef stew and rice?
Which is in that pot there. And then we have the pound cake in the Dutch oven. I can try to open it for you.
Oh, no worries. You gotta leave that closed.
It's really heavy, so though I do have to occasionally move it to check on it. But
I do a lot of hearth cooking myself.
Really?
I do a lot of historic cooking myself. It's not an easy task.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into it, especially if you don't have like a sink and right by you. It's
That's the tricky part, though. And is there anything in that top?
Yeah, that's the beef stew. I haven't added the rice yet. I'm just waiting a little bit. You probably can't really see it much now, but yeah, that's all that is. I made
a nice stew a few weeks ago when I was at the William Harris Homestead in Monroe,
okay.
And we weren't able to have an open fire, so I had to use my brazier.
Okay.
So I put the stew or the pot on top of the brazier and just added some stuff to it, though. But it's a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I do enjoy cooking. It's just a lot of work, and you get really hot really fast.
Oh yeah, that's one of the struggles to it too, though. You know, but I've kind of noticed though that if I ever plop my chair across the room somewhere and just watch it cook, I've kind of narrowed down a slight process to it. It's like, well, as long as you do it this way and see steam coming out of it, that's when you check your pies and stuff and all that sorts, and you know, but it's a whole process, though, you know.
It is. And it's kind of trial and error, too. Someone asked me earlier, like, are you ever worried about burning? I said, I'm actually not worried about burning anything in the Dutch oven. It's more so I'm worried about it not cooking. Like, not having my coals hot enough or enough coals underneath. And because I'm not moving that pot, so the only thing I can do is add more on top.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah, so I'm more so worried about undercooking something than not. I bake, like, pies and sweet potato pie and stuff like that in there.
I mean, I've had some really weird ways of how I've done some stuff. Like if I have to get a pie going and I don't have enough coals, I usually just put it up on the up where the stew is, and then I just put the coals on top.
That makes sense.
That
makes sense, actually.
It might not be the best way of doing it. Well, you know, but that's kind of one way.
But honestly, they would have done the same thing, like just figure stuff out. Even with the recipes, like sometimes they're just really vague, and then sometimes it's like I'm like, oh, well, if I want to try this, like actually like taste it, I think I'm gonna add this or do this way. Like with the beef stew, we just had to put everything except the rice in the pot and boil it. But my mom, she's helping me too, but she took my son to go eat. But what she did was use the skillet and kind of like brown the meat and the vegetables first and like make a roux and then put it in there. I'm like, yeah, that would be better.
That kind of sounds like a cabbage stew with pork dumplings.
Yeah.
You know, to where you would start adding certain things at a certain part of the process. You know.
I haven't added the rice yet, and I probably should just check on this. I didn't even think to do that.
I mean, the rice will probably be a few minutes.
Yep, that's why we're not adding it yet.
You know, that's something that's so minute that you could probably wait until you know the last 10-20 minutes to it. You know, I mean.
Yep, that's what we'll do. But yeah, sometimes it's just trial and error. Even with the
It's so cool though that you all have one of the recipes that was from the.
Yeah, so I don't know who's here representing the Irby family, but if you get a chance to talk to the descendants, I would definitely recommend that because they have a lot of like family photos and things like that, and a lot of stories, like first-hand stories from people who were enslaved here and everything. So.
That's so interesting, you know. I think that it's an under-talked about topic, you know, and it's.
And once you realize that they knew people who were like children here, grown up or teenagers here, and like, oh, it wasn't that long ago when you talk to them. Like, of course, a lot of them are older, but they still remember people, or they remember people who were sharecroppers, and so
Granted, they were probably our grandparents, especially my age. I don't know how old you are though, but I'm like 32, so would have been my grandparents. Would have been my grandparents' grandparents that would know, because my grandpa was born, and my grandma and grandpa were born in the 1920s.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh gosh, you know, it would have been their their grandparents that would know, you know,
About
and
what's
stuff,
going
you know,
on,
what was
yeah.
going on and stuff, and it's like crazy. It's like, you know, just the whole thing. And then my dad growing up in the, you know, the 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
and 70s and 80s, and it's like, he, you know, he has all kinds of stories, you know, and
Yeah,
you
my
know,
grandparents definitely have stories from like the 60s and 70s for sure.
you know, and
Yeah.
it's just a whole process, you know, and but
yeah, definitely, if you get a chance, talk to them because it's really interesting, and even just to learn about them, like their lives, it's cool to hear.
it's past their own stories, you know. And butter was in here, right?
We had lard in there. We had some butter over there.
Butter,
yeah, we had some
lard.
lard. I think my mom just was using this like for water or something. And then we got our rice in here.
They use the rice to, you know, soak up some of the fat and some of the liquid in there, though, and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of cool stuff though about that, though. I mean, you know, I've learned a lot about cooking and stuff, and one thing that I can definitely pass on to other people is when you're cooking over an open fire or a hearth, you know, you gotta find, you know, you kind of gotta have your own little tricks, you know, as to knowing when it's done and all that stuff, though, or at least an idea, you know. And it's like when you gotta put the knife in there, though, like put it in your pies to see if it comes out clean, or
That's exactly what I'm about to do with this pound cake.
or if it, even better is if you see steam coming out, well, it's a relatively good indication, but there's more to it than just that. There's more indicators, you know, in that as well. But it's a hard process to really grasp to begin. You know, when you're beginning to get into hearth cooking and stuff, but once you kind of get into it, it's like, oh, that's so cool. It's kind of like the piece back there is for grinding coffee. I just saw that. I have one of those too. You mind getting that? I don't want to touch it though.
No, you're fine.
Yep. I don't want to touch it though, but I know that I have one that's similar to this. Mine's obviously a modern version of it though, but
I haven't used this. I'm sure some people have, but I haven't.
That's for grinding up coffee or stuff like that. But that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
That's interesting though. That's really cool though. You know, it's.
I know in January when they do like all the hog butchering and everything, they like grind up like sausage and stuff like that. I haven't done it. I've seen people do it when I worked here, especially. Like I'd watch other coworkers do it. Like, yeah,
it's a lot of fun. I know I did it maybe about a good when I was volunteering here, I did that about five years ago, and watching the whole thing was pretty fascinating. And you know, I know that the kids really enjoy it though and stuff, but the parents are like, some of the parents are like all irked out. It's like, oh, it's pig guts, and then but the kids are like saying like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, kids
you
love
know,
gross stuff.
you know, it's like, wow, really, but.
And where did you say you usually volunteer?
Oh well, I used to volunteer a little bit here, but I've done I do a lot of now I do a lot of unit-based stuff now, but I'm kind of starting to get back into some of the sites and stuff. Like I do a lot at the William Harris Homestead, and then I do a few places in Georgia and South Carolina, and also a little bit in Florida. As well, when able.